Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is our second review of 2026 and today it comes to us courtesy of Retevis. Now they got in touch with me and asked if I'd be interested in taking a look at a brand new transceiver in the Ailunce range. This one is called the HA2 and it's just been released around Christmas time 2025, so it's a brand new radio to the market, and again it's focusing on the needs of amateur radio users. So this is great. So unlike a lot of transceivers which are designed for sort of commercial business radio market, this one has been thoughtfully designed for radio amateurs. So as I said, it's a dual band transceiver covering 270 centimeters, and it's got a nice rugged shell on it as well. Take a look at that. It's very chunky. Now I've seen this form factor before from Retevis. It's a very solid unit. If I just bring in this other radio that I reviewed last year, this is an NR630S, I think it is, or is it a 603S? It's a 603S, I believe. Anyway, this is a business radio just on the UHF frequencies, and as you can see it looks very similar to the HA2. So they've used some of the elements of that casing and made it very similar. And I suppose there's a good reason why they've done that, because this new radio is IP67 rated, and as you can see it's designed to be quite rugged and be used outdoors in all weathers. So that's kind of a good thing at this time of year, because we're experiencing some quite extreme weather conditions in the UK, mainly you know, torrential rainstorms and all that kind of thing. Obviously we've had the snow and the ice as well, but nothing like they've got in the US at the moment. But saying that, you know, this radio is designed to be used outdoors in all different conditions, so I think that's a really good thing, and it's certainly not going to be put off with a little bit of water. So as I say, this is the previous model, the UHF version, which is just like for business radio purposes, kind of like a very limited feature set. It's just for PMR and that kind of thing really. And you know, although it's a good radio, it's not really suitable for the needs of amateur radio users, because it doesn't contain, you know, the frequency ranges or the channel storage or anything like that really. But the reason I'm showing it is because it uses a very similar casing. As you can see on the side of it, they look almost identical there. So if I just spin them around, as you can see, and same on the other side as well. And you'll notice that there's a programming port on this side, and it's got underneath there some of those little gold pads that you use for programming, and they're obviously sealed against water and everything. So you know, when you do take this off and you do program a radio up using these, you've got to make sure you put this flap back in place properly and tighten it up firmly so no water can get into the radio itself. But as you can see, very similar design on the cases there. So I'll just whiz that one out of the way again. So this is your HA2, totally different radio electronically inside. Plenty of things to play with. I'll just go through some of the features in a second with you there, but as you can see it's quite active on that frequency I've got it stored on at the moment. We've got a dual band radio covering 270. It does actually cover from 136 to 174 megahertz, and it will also cover 400 to 480 megahertz, and you can unlock the transmit, and I'll show you how to do that a little bit later on in the video. It's also got GPS in this radio, so it's got satellite reception for positioning, so you can actually send positioning information from this radio to other similar units. And it's also got the very standard APRS functionality, so you can use this with amateur radio packet systems and things like that to be able to send and report your position on things like APRS.FI, and also to other radio amateurs in the vicinity, and you can send messages through the text and everything, which is really cool. It's got 1024 channels, and you can organize them into zones as well. As I said, it's IP67 rated, which means that you can actually drop this in water down to, I think it's 1 meter for about 30 minutes, and it should actually absolutely be a-okay with that sort of thing. I did test that with this other Retevis model here, or based on a very similar shell. I did dunk this into water. I have got a link on my YouTube channel to that one, where I actually did submerge these fully in water, and they have survived, and I'm still using it to this day. Everything's fine. As soon as it dried out, the audio came back to normal and everything was brilliant. So I've got no reason to suspect that it wouldn't be the same on this model here. So even if we don't do a dunking test, you will actually know that this radio will survive in water. That's what Retevis claim, and I do believe them on that score, because we did do the full test on this one on this side here. So anyway, yeah, other features include Bluetooth programming. So yeah, you can actually program this radio fully using a mobile phone. There's an app in the App Store on iOS and Android. It's the Retevis app. And I'll talk about that as well a bit later on. It's a really cool little thing you can do to connect up on Bluetooth, so you don't need to get a PC programming cable just to whiz a few frequencies in. But even more importantly, you can use this radio with Bluetooth headsets. So anything that supports the Bluetooth headset profile and Bluetooth PTT buttons can also work with this radio. And that is a big step up from some of the previous radios I've been using, because not a lot of them can do that. A lot of them can be programmed using Bluetooth, but again, they can't actually use Bluetooth audio. Now, that doesn't mean to say you can hook it up in the car to your car stereo. It's got to support the headset profile. So that's what we've got built into this. But it is a really nice feature in that most Bluetooth headsets should work without a problem. We will try one a bit later on. We'll try one of these Bluetooth speaker mics and see if it connects up okay. You've got a nice big colour display on the front of the radio as well there. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on there at the moment. I have got it on an active frequency. It's one of our local all-star gateways that's busy in the background there. You've got a dual VFO on this one as well. At the moment it's in single VFO mode there, just receiving on that frequency, but you can switch between the two, which is very nice. So as you can see, it's a good colourful display, and you can even see outdoors, which is really good too, because a lot of the time these colour displays aren't much use outside, but I've tested it in bright lighting outdoors, but we haven't got much bright lighting today. Not a very good day. It's really dull outside again. We just seem to be having so many dark days in January at the moment. It's just the time of year really, and it's just miserable and wet here in the UK. You've got NOAA weather alerts as well, so if you're in the States you can also get those weather alerts up on this one. Like a lot of radios have those pre-programmed channels in for the US emergency alert system. Not much use here in Europe, but nevertheless it's built inside the radio too. And you've also got one key pairing, so basically you can clone frequencies from one similar transceiver to another as well, which is kind of nice. All sorts of options in the menu, loads of things to actually talk about on this one today. I think I'm probably not going to be able to cover every single menu option in the radio, simply because there's so many things it can do. But essentially you've got a super rugged transceiver here, nice design, and it's going to stand up to the rigours of outdoor use. So if you're looking for a radio to take on your field day, no matter what the weather, if you do any extreme sports or climbing or anything like that, it's probably going to be really useful to you as well, especially with the GPS in. And it's even got a compass in as well, so you can see directions. So not only has the GPS functionality in there, you've also got the compass in this, which can be calibrated as well. So all in all, I think this is a really nice piece of kit. There are a few things lacking in it. Obviously, it doesn't have DMR, digital, stuff like that, but it's designed to be a good, solid analog transceiver, and that's what this is going to excel at. It's got a nice big speaker in it. You've also got a rotary volume control, so none of this fiddling about in the menus to change the volume up and down. That's the one on the left-hand side here, so that's power and volume. And you've also got a rotary VFO control where you can change the frequencies as well, or the channels in this case. Just click it around there, as you can see, it's changing through them all. And I really like the way you can organise channels into zones or banks. So, you can group everything together, like your repeaters, your simplex frequencies, marine. And I didn't even mention, it does actually receive the AM aircraft band, and it does a pretty decent job of that too. So I kind of need to show you the packaging that this radio comes in, because this box is really nice. It's like Retevis have done some really premium packaging with this one. It just looks better than the average. Nice black box there, kind of glossy, silky sort of box. And look at this. Obviously I've taken the bits out of the box, like the radio and the battery pack, which I'll explain in a second. But you have in the box a nice user guide. It's a multi-language guide. It's got all the main languages in there and everything. So, but you can download these online anyway. I always find these little booklets a little bit on the small side to read the text in them. So sometimes you're better off just getting the PDF from the website anyway. Incidentally, there is a full set of programming software available on the web. If you want to go down the CPS programming route, you can do that. Or you can just use the Bluetooth app on the phone as well. But yeah, this booklet does explain all the basic functions and everything, so that's pretty decent. I do like the packaging inside. You've got like the spongy bit in the middle of here that the radio comes in. Underneath here as well, we do have a belt clip that I've not yet attached to this radio, as you can see there. It's a plastic belt clip. It doesn't look that substantial, but it has a metal back plate on it. It looks oh so similar to the other one on the NR630S transceiver, which is that business PMR that I was showing you earlier on. So I don't know if the battery packs are interchangeable. They probably are, to be quite honest. But this one claims to be a faster charging battery with the HA2. So it's a 2,800 milliamp hour battery pack. Reckons it can charge in about 4.5 hours from flat. That's its fast charging using 5 volts at 2 amps. And it reckons up to a 77-hour standby time, depending on use, obviously. And you've got triple power saving modes built in the radio, and you can also set an auto power off. Now, a few different things about this battery pack. As I said, it's a 2,800 milliamp hour battery. It's got the pins on it for charging in the desktop charger, which I'll also show you. And you've also got USB-C charge on this. So you don't even need to use a desktop charger. You do get one in the box. But as you can see there is a USB-C port down here in the corner, so you can just plug it straight in and get it charging from any power source, like a power bank or in your car or anything else like that. So it's a nice big battery pack. You know it's going to last quite a long time. It's quite rugged, like I said. It's really good, that is. So we've also got the charger here. This is the desktop charger. Let's just take it out of the packaging. As you can see, you do get this in the box, quite a substantial chunky brick of a desktop charger. And as you can see there, 5 volts at 2 amps rated on the back of there. You don't get a power supply in the box. You have to plug it into a USB power source of your choice. I mean, obviously, we've probably all got millions of those USB power supplies laying around everywhere. So I'm kind of glad that Retevis don't actually put a power supply in the box, because kind of like they're a waste of time and effort, really. Most people are going to have a USB charger kicking around somewhere that can deliver 2 amps. I mean, most modern day phone chargers do a lot more than that, really. So just a case of dropping it into there, onto the base, and that's it, and you're charging straight away. There's a little light down here that comes on red or green once it's fully charged as well. But it's nice to see Retevis are not actually giving you a USB power supply with the radio. I think it's good for the environment, really, as well. You do get a USB-C cable, obviously, in here, just in case you haven't got one. So you've got USB-A to USB-C in the back of the packaging. So you can just bang that straight into there. You can either use it for charging the radio direct, or you can use it to charge on this drop-in charger. Personally, I don't really use the drop-in chargers that much, because I've got so many different radios, as you'll appreciate. I just basically just charge using any old USB cable that's around. It doesn't work, I don't think, with power delivery cables. That's those fancy ones. You just have to use a basic USB cable. But as you can see there, drop straight onto the desktop charger or the battery pack directly as well. And it's good because you can buy additional batteries for these. And so you can charge it separately from the radio if that's what you want to do. So you could keep a second battery topped up if you want to take out 2 with you, or charge with a power bank or something like that. But as you can see, it all fits together pretty nicely there. Here's the antenna. It's about 6 inches long. It's a dual band antenna covering both the 2 and 77s bands. It's optimized up to that sort of level there. Now, unlike a lot of the cheaper Chinese radios, you'll see that this is actually an SMA male antenna on this one. So a little bit different from the Quanshings and the Baofengs and everything. They tend to use SMA female. Got the female socket on there, and this is an SMA male antenna. As you can see, it's dual band, and it does seem to work okay. I've been using this for the past three or 4 weeks, and I haven't measured the SWR on it or anything, but you know, when I've been out and about, I've been using it everywhere, and I've had no complaints. It's been receiving quite well. Particularly good performance on the 2 meter band as well. Haven't really used 70 quite as much. We don't tend to use that as much sort of around this area, but 2 meters certainly worked pretty well. Obviously, you can upgrade your antenna system. You can put something bigger on or better if that's what you want to do. But as you can see there, nice, easy one. So if you are going to buy any additional antennas like a Nagoya or something like that, or anything a bit more fancy, you can extend the range on this radio quite substantially by just increasing the length of the antenna there, using something a bit more high gain. But the one that comes in the box is a pretty decent antenna, I must say. It's been performing for me anyway. I mean, obviously no surprises or anything, you know, but it certainly works well. So remember, SMA male on this one. Same as on the Yaesu type radios and things like that as well. My Yaesu FT1 DXE, which is quite an old radio now, also uses the same antenna system as this one. So just something to bear in mind anyway. So with the packaging and the box out of the way, let's take a look at the front panel of the radio. Well, as you can see, it's got a nice big screen on this unit, and it's a colour display. As I was saying, you can see this outdoors. I actually tried this for an experiment. I shined a torch into the LCD panel, and I could still see the display clearly lit. I know it sounds crazy, but even though the backlighting wouldn't show. You could still see the text and everything, even, you know, like shining a torchlight in front of the unit, which means it's a different type of screen technology. It just seems to look better outdoors. So even in bright sunlight, you should still be able to read the display all being well, which, you know, kind of surprised me really. But anyway, looking at the front panel there, it's got quite a lot of information on the screen. We're in single VFO mode at the moment, and you can toggle between single and dual VFO just by simply pressing this hash key down here. So as you can see there, press the hash key, and now we've got two lines of VFO, VFO A and B, and you can cycle between these two by just pressing the star key to jump up or down. So the one that's highlighted in blue is the active VFO at the moment, like this one up there on my simplex frequency, and my repeaters are down here on the second one. So very easy to toggle between the two. If I wanted to change channel, I can use these up and down arrow keys here, which are also used for the menu functions and everything, incidentally. But you can just rotate using the VFO on top of here as well, the rotary VFO control. So nice and easy to get around. So the choice is yours. You can either use those keys there, which I find a bit fiddly, or you can use the rotary VFO. And likewise the same for the menu system, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes. Even the menu can be rotated and scrolled through using this on top of here. So as I say, rotary volume control on this side, analog volume control, very nice, and rotary VFO or channel change up here as well. So, you know, for anybody who doesn't like fiddling around with a small keypad, this is a good radio to use. It's got the basics covered. They've nailed it on this one, Retevis have. Big speaker at top of here, and the mic is built in at the top of there as well. So it has very good audio quality, as you'll see in the demo that we do shortly. Can't really fault it at all. The audio is loud, crisp and clear, as you would expect from a good basic analog radio. That's all you want sometimes. But down here you've got a backlit keypad, which you can't see too well in the studio at the moment because obviously it's quite bright in here. But as you can see, there we go. You can see that the keys are backlit, and you can choose to leave this on continually, or you can have it turn off after a given period of time to save the battery. I've changed mine to continuous, just so I can show you guys it demonstrated properly here. Because the recent radio I was reviewing, the Quansheng, you couldn't leave the display on all the time. It wasn't an option in the menu, but I'm pleased to see that Retevis have kept that in the software. So if you're like me, you like to leave the display on. It does use a minimal amount of power while it's doing that. It will flatten your battery quicker, but I kind of like having the display lit all the time on these kind of radios. Even when I'm not demonstrating them, I still like to leave the lighting on. But the choice is yours. It has a brightness option as well. It does go quite bright. I think this is on number 7 at the moment on the brightness, but it does go up to 9, I think. So you can make it a little bit brighter, but I'm finding this about right for me anyway, where it is at the moment. And as I've said, outdoors in bright daylight, you can still see the screen. It's still quite readable, which is a nice touch as well. Now you'll notice that both of these two VFOs are in channel mode at the moment, and I've got the name showing, but you can present this information in a few different ways. You can see that the channel number and the frequency underneath there as well, which is really helpful. So it's good that it shows all that information. You can tell this radio has been designed for amateurs because it's actually got all that information in one place, unlike a lot of these commercial radios that tend to hide the frequency and modes and that kind of thing. It's nice that you've got all that at your fingertips on here. If we press the red exit key on this active VFO, you'll notice something else here as well. You can switch between name or channel number, so you can see that it says CH24, but you still retain the channel name in a smaller window down here, just in the bottom left corner. And you've also still got the frequency, but it's made the channel number more prominent. If we press it again, we can actually see the frequency there instead on the display, which is cool. But you still retain the overall name. It just rotates it around in a circle. So, you know, the choice is yours. If you're one of these people who likes to see the frequency more than you do the name, you can choose to do that once you've programmed it up. Or you can cycle between that as well. Personally, I like the name, but I can still see the frequency on the display there and the channel number too. So everything is in one place. You've also got the power level there, which is set to medium on this one. And you've also got the bandwidth setting, which is set to wide down there. Menu system, very straightforward on this. The menu's been laid out quite logically. Press the menu key and you can go up or down in the settings. There you go. There's radio, zone, channel, one key pairing, scanning, signaling, emergency, FM radio, Bluetooth, copy config, APRS, and you've also got GNSS, which is your satellite reception. And you've also got compass in there as well, an app QR code. So next on the list, you've got zones. Now zones are essentially banks of channels, so dead easy to organise. So when you've got so many memories, you want to sort of group them together. So if I just click on there, as you can see, we've defined a few different custom zones. There's something called a quick zone, which is built into the radio. Essentially what that is some frequently used memory channels. So you can put your favourites into there. I think it supports 4 different ones. So it's like a quick jump to maybe your calling frequency on 2 meters or 70 SEMS, etc., or a regular sort of frequency you use locally. You can pop them into the quick zone. But the rest of these down here, you're free to define as you want. I've created one called repeaters, obviously with all the local repeaters into me. Simplex frequencies on 2 meters and 70 SEMS. And I've got PMR 446, which is basically like the GMRS or FRS frequencies in America, like a public radio band. And then I've also got marine and air band as well. So you can define as many of these as you like. I think it supports 250 odd zones, but you're not going to really use that many of them. Certainly it's very flexible, and you can drop as many channels into those as you like. I think there's a maximum limit of 64 in each zone, which is typical of these type of radios, but it's more than enough for most applications anyway. So if we just tap into this one that says simplex here, you can see you can name the zones, and you can then delete it, or you can add and remove channels from the zone as well. So you know, you don't need to use a computer to program these. You can do all this by hand if you're so minded. Channel, well, basically you can edit all the parameters of the channels that are stored inside the radio. Pretty usual stuff inside there, where you can change the bandwidth, whether it uses CTCSS or DCS. One of the things I do like about this radio is it's got customizable squelch level for each and every channel. So if you've got a noisy frequency, you can squelch it up a little bit without compromising the sensitivity of other channels stored in the radio. It's not just a global squelch level. It uses squelch per channel, which I think is quite a nice feature, really. That's something you don't see all the time. Just go back in there a second. You've also got transmit power, low, medium and high. I looked this one up, and it claims that there is something like, I think it's about 1.5 watts on the low power, about 3 watts on the mid power, and just over 5 watts on the high power. I noticed somewhere in the product literature it does say something about a super high power mode up to about 8 or 9 watts, but I've not been able to find out how to enable that one. But there again, thinking about it, I mean, high power is 5 watts. That's enough on a handheld generally. If you're going to put out a bit more power, like up to 7 or 8 watts, it's going to just burn the battery out quicker. And you're not going to see a massive amount of gain, really. Most people don't realise that, you know, 5 watts is more than enough, and 7 or 8 watts isn't going to make that great difference on a handheld radio. So personally, I just leave it as it is anyway, but it just showed that the radio is capable of a little bit more power. I'm assuming there's some hidden key press or something to maybe unlock this one, but I'm not 100% sure at the moment on that side of things. TX permission set, timeout timers, permit, always allow. I believe you can also make it TX not permitted, so if you want to make it RX only, you can do that. So if you don't want to transmit on a frequency by accident, you can also block it from transmission. So you can use it like as a receive only monitor. I'd probably suggest doing that on something like the marine band. Let's have a quick look. Look, there you go. Receive only is one of the options that's available in that software down there, which is kind of cool. So you can actually lock out certain channels. So that's some feature that you often find in DMR radios, but not always in these analog ones. So I think that's quite nice as well. Signaling system, obviously DCS and everything else in there. All kinds of other stuff. Vox enable, scrambler, compander. So yeah, pretty comprehensive stuff inside that. One key pairing's kind of interesting. You can use this to grab a frequency from an unknown radio. So if I just tap on that, it rolls around a bit like Unident's close call feature, where you can just key down on another radio nearby and it should come up on the display and decode the CTCSS it's using and whatever else is going on. There we go. In fact, it's actually found our local node there, 430.062, and it's come up with a CTCSS of 118.8 Hertz. So that is a gateway that I'm running at the other side of the house, away from the studio, and it's actually picked it up. So it's obviously quite sensitive. I'm very surprised about that, and I'm quite pleased that that demonstration has just come up on there. So I saw a little green light come on. So obviously my All-Star gateway's become active, and it's actually picked it up all the way down here. And we could then save that to a memory if we wanted to. So that's just a demonstration in action, really, of how that worked. I'm really, really chuffed that that happened. And it's actually very accurate, but it is on 430.0625, actually. So that's pretty much nearby to me. And the CTCSS is correct as well. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a really useful feature to have on this type of radio. But if you've got another handheld that you're not sure what it's transmitting on, key down nearby to it and it'll grab the frequency and display it there, whether it's CTCSS or DCS. So that's kind of cool. Just exit that anyway. Scan, well, this is interesting too. You've got a VFO scan range where you can define a start and end range like you can on most scanners. So there's quite a lot of stuff. Scan condition, carrier or CTCSS. Lots of different options inside there as well. And also hang time, how long it takes when it's picked up a signal to resume and carry on scanning again. I've set mine to 3 seconds. And then you can put a start and end frequency in. All the usual refinements there. So I really like the feature set that Retevis have built into this radio. There's lots and lots of good things going for it there. Signalling's to do with DTMF for some repeater systems. You can also set up an emergency frequency. FM radio, well, pretty self-explanatory. You can listen to broadcast FM radio stations in there. As you can see, you can type in a direct frequency entry or you can just go up and down and scan around for that as well. So if there's nothing on the bands, you can listen to your local news channels and things like that. Really good. Bluetooth is the one that we're really interested in here though. As I was saying earlier on, Bluetooth isn't just for programming, it does support headset profiles. So you can link up a Bluetooth PTT button and you can also link up things like Bluetooth speaker mics. I'm going to do that in a second and hopefully it's going to work. I've not tried it before. We're going to give it a quick demo and see if we can connect up and see if we get some audio through it as well. One thing that is nice is Bluetooth speaker gain and mic gain in there. Totally customizable. And you can also choose whether to have audio coming through the built-in speaker as well as on Bluetooth. So that's really good. So we'll come back to that in a second. Copy config. You can copy the configs from this radio to another one that's of a similar type, I believe. APRS we'll get onto afterwards as well. And also GNSS, which is obviously your satellite reception. Now, I'm not sure if it's picked up a satellite signal in here. Let's just go into the GNSS section. Have a look into here, GNSS info. And it has actually. It's a pretty sensitive receiver. That's my current position here. And it's showing the usual stuff in there about our current height above sea level. And so that's pretty good. And it's telling us we've received a total of 16 satellites on there as well. And that's indoors, remember, through brick walls. So, you know, the GPS sensitivity does seem quite good on this radio. And as you can see, it's got the current time and date in there as well. So, good stuff. There's a received list as well. And there's also the compass functionality, which you can calibrate as well inside there. So, all the usual stuff. And the app QR code, well, obviously, that just takes you to a QR code that you can scan to download the Retevis app from your respective app store. Now, at the moment, the only slight disappointment is that the app isn't available for iOS users. Well, it is available, but the HA2 isn't currently supported, but that's going to be fixed soon. Fingers crossed Retevis on that one. So let's do a bit of a test on the Bluetooth pairing functions for the audio side of this radio. So what I've got here is a APRS Bluetooth speaker microphone. I've had this for quite some time actually. It's a good little unit that does pair up with any radios that do support the Bluetooth headset protocol. It's got a PTT button on the side of here and the usual up and down volume control. So pretty basic stuff, just a nice little unit that I could use for testing with this. So if it works with this, it should work with almost anything really, I would say. So first of all, you need to make sure your Bluetooth is turned on. So go into the Bluetooth menu, go up to BT power and just make sure that it's switched on. You can see this anyway, but if you go back to the desktop on here, on the main screen should I say, you've got the Bluetooth symbol up there. So let's just go back into menu, go to Bluetooth, then go down to BT call, go to the BT earphone menu, and you can see that because I've already paired this device up, it should be in the list. So if I go to paired devices, that's the name of the APRS speaker microphone, rather cryptically. That's what it's there for though. So obviously if we were trying to find a new device that we wanted to pair up with this radio, we just go into the ear scan and that basically shows us any device that's currently in pairing mode waiting for connection to the radio. So if you had a headset or another device you wanted to connect, you just go into there and hit scan. It'd search around and try and find them in the list with the name of the device. So anyway, what I want to do is show you guys how quick this actually does connect up once you've made that initial pairing. So I'm going to hold down the power button on this APRS mic and watch the screen over there. Look how quick this works.
Power on. Pairing. Connected.
and as you can see now, it's made a connection to the radio. And that's all there is to it. Once it's connected, it's rock solid. As long as you stay within range of the radio, you've got the audio coming through this speaker now instead of the built-in one on the radio. And you can adjust the volume control in there. There are other things you can adjust as well, such as the mic gain levels and the audio level coming out the Bluetooth speaker, which you'll have to tweak to your own liking. But that's how simple the pairing system is. You can then just disconnect if you want at any time and go back to the internal speaker just by hitting disconnect. So it's got a little blue flashing light on this APRS mic to show that it is actually paired up on Bluetooth. So if I just exit to the main menu or the main screen on there on that VFO, if I now press the PTT button on this, G7 UFS just testing, 54321 12345. You can see there the radio is transmitting and it's actually going out. So the PTT is working. Look, there you are, you see. That's looking pretty good. So that's quite promising. So what I need to do now is just test that the audio is actually working two ways on that. So for that, I have another radio. I've got this Badgerton DM5000 here. So I'm going to try and transmit on the Badgerton, and we'll hopefully get some audio coming back through the Bluetooth microphone. So hopefully you guys can hear this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I've got a bit of feedback there. G7 UFS. I can't speak with that feedback coming through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Obviously, I'm pretty close by to the radio, but as you can see, the audio is coming back through this APRS speaker mic. And what we want to do now is do it the opposite way around. So there's the Badgerton. I'm going to take this speaker mic. I'm going to talk through this through the HA2, and hopefully you'll hear the audio coming back through the Badgerton radio here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it helps you turn the sound up. 1, 2, 3. This is the audio. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Excuse the feedback. G7 UFS testing this radio. So as you can see there, every time I key up, the audio is coming back through the other radio there. So yeah, we've got good audio. Obviously I'm too close to the other radio, so we're getting the feedback. There's very little latency. It's a good quality connection, and that's all through this APRS speaker mic. So of course it should work with other headsets that support PTT. You can add a separate PTT button in the menu as well, I notice. So there is a BT PTT key. So if you've got one of those Bluetooth PTT keys, you can do it totally hands-free. So all sorts you can do. Bluetooth speaker gain. I had to put this one up a little bit further. I think it was set to gain number 1 at first, so I put it up to max on there. And likewise on the microphone gain, I've got it on number 4 there as well. So you might have to tweak these depending on the type of headset or Bluetooth speaker mic you're using. But as you can see, it's dead easy. Once you've set it up in here, it's just rock solid connectivity. So that's really good. You can also choose to have the sound coming through the built-in speaker as well as the Bluetooth connected device. So if I just go back out of here, go back up to the top, here we are, BT call, earphone. I can actually disconnect it from in here as well and connect to another device. So if I just do that, so go for the disconnect.
Disconnected.
As you can see there, it's just disconnected. And if we go back into the paired device list, it's as easy as this to reconnect it as well.
Connected.
And there you go, just a few seconds delay and it's reconnected again. So to me, the Bluetooth connectivity does seem pretty good on this radio. So that's an interesting little thing. And as you can see, it does really work. So I think it's about time to show you the Retevis CPS programming via Bluetooth. So at the moment, I'm going to demonstrate it using my trusty Galaxy S23 mobile device, because the only slight downside to using Apple is that the HA2 hasn't been added to the Retevis app, but that is going to happen in the next few weeks, all being well. Please, Retevis, crack on with it, because I'm an Apple user and I'd like to have it on my other phone as well. But anyway, we're going to demonstrate the Android version of the app. It's all the same at the end of the day. It looks identical. It's just that we're waiting for that support to go in there. So I'm going to launch the Retevis app on here. And as you'll see in a second, just make sure that your Bluetooth is turned on this radio. And as you can see there, I've got some activity going on this radio at the same time. It is quite cool, really, how it's doing all this sort of stuff. But yeah, Ailunce HA2 in my radio list. I've previously paired this up, but if you haven't got it paired up, don't worry, you just hit add radio and it'll scan and it'll find it, and you just add it to your list of radios in there. And what is quite surprising to me is it shows the current battery status on the display in this app as well. So it shows you how much battery power you've got left in your radio. So as you can see that it's already established a sort of Bluetooth link to the device. So I'm going to click on Ailunce HA2. I'm going to then go for hit read data. And as you can see there on the screen, it's showing CPS read. Now, it doesn't take that long to do. I mean, I haven't used all 1,000 channels. I've got about 300 channels programmed into this one, but it is quite nippy over Bluetooth. It's pretty good. Maybe it's a little bit quicker using the data cable method on PC, but the convenience of having it in an app like this is brilliant, really. You know, you can go and do a bit of field programming. I haven't tried installing the app on a tablet or anything. It may work just the same way, you know. I don't know if it's scaled up to like tablet-sized devices, but, you know, it's a lot easier than doing it on the front of the radio itself. And you'll notice that the radio is actually just rebooting itself now it's done the read. It seems to be a thing that it does every time it does a read or a write operation, like a lot of these radios seem to do that. But as you can see on the display here, you can change all the parameters of the radio that we went through on the menu earlier on, like the basic settings. Going through there, things like transmit bleeps, voice prompts, all the other stuff, Roger beep, mic gain, call tone, Vox, all the settings you can tweak. It's a lot easier to do it from your mobile device than flicking through all the menus on the radio itself. So it's a very comprehensive feature set. Channel is really good. You can edit every single channel from here and add it to a zone, change your transmit power, CTCSS, DCS tones. If you're programming repeaters and things, it's very, very easy to do from this. I'll just tap on one of the channel numbers and you can see there available channels, and you can just scroll up or down the list and see what's what. So if I just hit a random channel, channel number 7, you can see there I've got some repeaters programmed in, and you can tweak all the settings to your heart's content on that as well. So very, very easy to do on the phone. Might save you a few hours of work squinting at the little front panel on the radio. A lot easier to do it straight from your mobile device. And once you've finished doing all these things, I'll just go into zone. You see there, that's an interesting one. I've just defined some up like repeaters, simplex, like I told you earlier on. Click on repeaters. You can choose which channels belong to the zone and which ones don't. You see, you can just tap on or off on this, highlight them all, check all, or deselect, and then just pop them straight into there as well. So very easy to select stuff. Delete zone obviously does what it says. Not going to do that. But as you can see, dead easy to organise stuff. A lot easier than trying to do it from the front panel of the radio. And then your FM radio frequencies and all the rest of it in there. So yeah, really comprehensive little app, really. Quite nice. Quite useful when you're doing APRS as well. Being able to change your symbol for the type of unit and all the rest of it, putting APRS messages in. I believe there are some more TNC functions coming to this radio further down the line in a future firmware update. Retevis have said that that's going to be implemented a little bit further down the line, so maybe later this year. All being well, you'll be able to do a lot more stuff than just the APRS. You'll be able to send full packet messages and things like that, like a full TNC. Not 100% sure yet, but that's what they're saying anyway, so it could be quite interesting to look onto that sort of thing. And obviously the GPS settings, usual sort of stuff for the satellite reception and everything, and whether you want it to send it out as a beacon and everything as well. So once you've done all that, you can then write the config file back to the radio. You see there on the menu you've got open data and write data, so you can create different area sets, maybe for if you're traveling around from one location to another, and load them into the radio accordingly. But I do like the Retevis app, and it's going to support more and more radios in the future, so they're going to keep developing that as well. So I think that's quite a nice smart little addition to the package. Just makes it even easier than having to fire up a PC, get Windows going and everything, and get your data cable connected up. It's a good alternative if you want to do a bit of field programming. So just thought I'd share that one with you. Not going to go through every feature because obviously it's going to take too long, but it certainly looks like it's a promising application anyway.
Good evening. The time is 9 p.m. Weather, conditions, overcast, temperature, 6 degrees.
Well, that was our local All-Star Gateway firing up. Now, I don't know if you noticed on the screen just then, it flashed up again. It shows green when it's receiving a signal, and it also shows the receive frequency along with the RSSI indicator, which is basically a relative signal strength indicator. So it's a nice touch for a piece of amateur radio gear that it doesn't just come up and tell you it's receiving a signal, it gives you a relative strength on the display as well, which is kind of good. It's not a signal meter as such, but it does give you technical information instead. So I think that's pretty good really, that they've thought of building that into a product like this one anyway, and you'll see it come up again once somebody starts transmitting. But speaking of transmissions, I did promise I would show you how to unlock this radio, because out of the box it is locked to the amateur radio bands, but there may be some legitimate purposes which mean that you want to unlock it to work on, say, maybe licensed business radio frequencies, or maybe the marine band. Well, all you have to do is basically hold down two keys, the PTT button and key number 8 when you power up the radio. So first of all, we're going to turn it off. Incidentally, this is a similar process to previous Retevis radios, I believe. So we'll keep the PTT held down, I'll press key number 8 and I'll turn on the radio and watch the display carefully. As you can see, that it says extend 136 to 174 and 400 to 480 megahertz. And as you can see, there's some activity on there again. That's that relative strength indicator that's on there. But anyway, that radio is now unlocked to transmit all the way across those frequency ranges. And if you wanted to put it back and lock it again just to the amateur radio bands, it's the same process. Now, this is an EU model, so it's designed for the European Union range of frequencies. But if you buy this in the US, you will get the US frequency range locked out on the rig as well. Let me just show you one more time. So if I turn the radio off, hold down the PTT and key number 8 again and roll it on. There it says EU 144 to 146 and 430 to 440 megahertz, I believe. And there you go. That's it. It's actually locked up again. So it's as simple as that. You don't need to get the soldering iron out to do the modification. It's nice and easy if you do have a legit purpose for opening up the full frequency range on the radio. So we're out here again today on top of the Yorkshire Wolds, and this time in a slightly different location to test this radio. This is the Ailunce HA2. As you can see, very nice rugged radio, ideal for this sort of weather, because to be honest, it's late January and the weather is as appalling as it usually is when I do a radio test. But we're just going to try our best to make contact with Paul back in my hometown. He's about 4 miles away from here in a straight line, I would say. So I've got it all set up, everything's arranged, so I'm going to give him a shout on this and see what it sounds like, and we'll give it a test on the 2 metre band. We're on 145.
I'm going to press record on mine.
Well, there you go, he's ready then. Right, okay then, M0 DPH, G7 UFS. I believe you're ready for me now. Let's have a listen to the audio on this radio. This is the Ailunce HA2, Paul, back to you.
M0 DPH, yeah. Not too much wind noise around you. It sounds okay. You can tell it's an handheld, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, roger that, Paul. Yeah, well, it's sounding good this end. Great audio from the built-in speaker. It's quite a rugged little radio, this is. Quite chunky. It's one of those sort of mil-spec ones as well, so it's waterproof, which is kind of good for this time of year, really, considering that the weather is so changeable as well. It's fully submersible, down to 1 metre of water, I believe, for 30 minutes as well. I don't know if we're going to do the test or not. We did one similar to this for Retevis before, but it's a similar sort of body to that other radio that I tested with you a while back. But anyway, I'll let you come back to me and see what you think on the audio side of things. Obviously, we've got a bit of wind noise up here, but not too, nothing we can do about it really. It's just weather conditions are just so bad throughout this time of year. Back to you from G7 UFS.
M0 DPH returning. Yeah, no, there's a tiny little bit of rustle from the wind, but it's nothing, mate. I wouldn't even worry about it. It's certainly not detriment to the audio quality anyway. It's still pretty good. I can't fault it from a handheld really, to say the weather conditions that you stood outside in, mate. I really can't fault that at all, really. There's not a lot of there isn't a massive amount of background noise.
G7 UFS returning. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, at least we haven't got the snow this time. It had been knee-deep in snow here about 2 weeks back. It's just damp and miserable now. So we've got the January blues instead, I think. I don't know if February's going to be much better this year, but I'm looking forward to the better weather so we can go out and test a few more radios and stuff. But
M0 DPH, yeah, it's very good. You're actually 2 bars into the red now from where you are, so it's doing very, very well for an handheld on 5 watts. It'll be interesting to see where it goes on 2.5 watts. because that would certainly conserve your battery life somewhat.
Yeah, okay then. Right, well, I've programmed one of the hotkeys on the side for power level. So let me just take it down to lowest power, which is 1 watt anyway, and we'll see what that does if you want, yeah? Shall we give it a try?
Yeah, let's go for it. We'll see what happens.
Okay, just give me a sec.
M0 DPH, G7 UFS, how's that? That's 1 watt of power to going out to you there, Paul, back to you.
M0 DPH, you are giving me an S8.
Right, so that's just barely just over 1 watt, that is. So we'll flick you up to mid power next and give that a try.
Yeah, it does just flicker to S9. Just flickers up and down. So you're going to be halfway between 8 and 9.
Okay, and that's us back now with mid power there. So that's going to preserve your battery life a bit more, isn't it, really? It's about 2 and a bit watts, that is. 2.3 watts, I think I measured it at. Something like that. So give me a report on that one, Paul, back to you.
Right, you're an S9, flickering up to the first notch of the red. So S9 plus 10, is it?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you remember, the first week I did radio when I was testing with you, I left it on mid-power thinking it was 5 watts, and I was wrong until I measured it, and it's 2.5 watts, or 2.3 watts, I think it was. And it was doing really well. You know, you were getting me everywhere I went with it. So the 2.5 watts is sometimes just sufficient, isn't it, to get yourself around even a few miles away. I'll hand it back to you for your final thoughts on this one, Paul, and you'll see later on in the video. Thanks very much for the test as usual, yeah? From G7 UFS.
0 DPH. Yeah, it sounds like a cracking piece of a kit. It's good that it's got Bluetooth programming as well. That makes life so much easier when you're out and about. So just log onto the app and add a frequency in if you want to, which is very, very useful. Rather than dragging a laptop around with you or a PC around with you just to try and program it. It's a good job they've gone down that road, but it sounds a good solid bit of equipment. So I can't really fault the audio. If I was to be extra critical, I would say the tone is a little bit low, but that's just nitpicking, is that, mate? I can't really fault. I can certainly tell it's you anyway, Simon. So all in all, I think it's a good all-round piece of kit, like, nice and robust and waterproof. So if you're out and about, it's not going to suffer with any water damage. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see the video when it's done. M0 DPH.
Okay, time to have a look at the power test results. So to do this measurement, we used a Shawcom SW33 Plus power meter, and this was connected into a dummy load. The first test performed was on the 2 meter amateur radio band on 145 megahertz, and this is the results. As you can see, it's quite well balanced. Low power 1.5 watts, mid power 2.75 watts, and high power just under 5 watts. So that's pretty good, to be honest with you. A lot of radios aren't that well balanced, but this one is quite good on that side of things. And on the 70 SEMS band, we tested at 433 megahertz and found that the power levels were slightly higher than the 2 meter band. As you can see here, low power 1.92 watts, mid power just over 3 watts, and high power almost 5.5 watts. So the radio does put out quite a good amount of power. Now, I did see this super power mode quoted at up to 8 to 9 watts, but I've not worked out how to actually enable that in the options on the radio. It was quoted on the Retevis website, but I don't know how you actually put the radio into that mode. Not that you really need to be running more than 5 watts anyway. I don't think it's really going to make that much difference anyhow. But as you can see there, the power levels are quite well balanced, and I think that's quite a good win really on this one. Now, I also wanted to share with you guys the harmonic test for the 2 and 70 centimeter amateur radio bands. So I'm using a tiny SA Ultra Plus here, and I've got a 5 watt output going into this attenuator into the device. And as you'd expect for a radio of this class, the output is very, very clean indeed. 2 meters and 70 both passed with the flying colours. The meter cannot detect any discernible harmonics outside of band, which means that they are ever so low, and so low that they don't even show up or register there. So that is really impressive. So I'd have no hesitations in recommending to use this one on the amateur radio frequencies. Like I say, unlike a lot of those cheaper transceivers, this one has been specifically designed for amateur radio users in mind, and it's good to see that Retevis has got it nailed when it comes to the filtering on this type of unit. So a very good plus point for the radio there. Absolutely stunning results on the harmonic test, I'd say. I just wanted to show you the APRS functionality working on this radio. So right now we've got this tuned to 144.800 UK APRS frequency, and I've set up another radio pretty nearby to do a test beacon every 30 seconds. So all being well, we should see some data coming up on the screen in a minute just to prove that the APRS functionality is working on this one. It's a Badgerton BJ9000, so I've just got it on beacon mode. There we go. And it's got my call sign on there and my current position. The only thing that looks a bit strange is the distance between the two stations at 7948 kilometres. Not quite sure what that is that's going on with that. I don't know if it's a setting that I've got wrong on this radio or it's a glitch in the firmware, but I've tried a couple of different units and I got similar results with regards to the distancing information. Everything else seems to be absolutely fine, but I don't know. I need to get in touch with Retevis and see, unless of course anybody else knows the solution to this one. Maybe leave some comments if you do know, or you've got this radio, see if it's doing the same with you. As you can see, the distancing is kind of all over the place. I've got 13,000 kilometers now, and the radio is literally only a few meters away from us right at this very moment in time. So that's a bit of a strange one. That said though, all the tools are in here for APRS, and Retevis have promised that they're going to release some more firmware later in the year that's going to give it KISS TNC functionality too. So if I just flick into the APRS menu, you can see there all the basic settings are in here. PTT report. The only thing is, if you're actually receiving APRS, it does actually cancel the menu, which is kind of semi-annoying. But we'll go back into there again, just have a quick look. My position, you can set a position manually or use the GPS coordinates, of course. APRS TX delay, all kinds of things you can change there. The usual things: beacon transmit, auto and smart intervals. So as I say, it's okay as it stands. I'd just like to find out what it is with that distancing thing with the beacon. But as we can see, it is receiving A-OK and it's decoding the packets. The only thing of slight concern is obviously the distancing. Well, that's it guys, the Retevis Ailunce HA2 dual band amateur radio. As you can see, it's a really nice HT. It's chunky, it's built to last, it's got excellent audio quality. And to be quite honest with you, if you're in the market for a dual band analog HT, then this one is hard to beat, especially when you consider that it's got the IP67 water and dust resistance in there. So this one's built to last, unlike a lot of the cheaper radios. I mean, sure, it's not exactly a cheap radio, it's a mid-price one, this one, I would say. I'll put some links in the description to the Retevis website where you can purchase one of these if you're interested. But to me, it has some really good standout features, and one of them is the fact that you can use Bluetooth headsets with this. So of course, anything like Bluetooth PTT buttons, headsets, Bluetooth speaker microphones are possible to link up with this one, as you saw in the demo that we did earlier on. And I think it's worth it for that alone. There's not many transceivers can do that in this sort of price range. And of course, you've also got the convenience of Bluetooth programming. So you can use your mobile device to do that. Or you can connect up to a normal Windows-based CPS, so the choice is yours. You've got many options available. You've got the GPS functionality, the compass, and the APRS too. So all in all, it's a really nice package for anybody looking for something a little bit better than the average. One of the things I did note about it is the battery life is superb as well. You can have this one on all day and you won't flatten the battery with average use. You know, it's going to last a long, long time. I've not managed to run this one down, and I've been out there chatting around the locals, and everything's been absolutely fine all day long, and I've still had about 50% battery at the end of the day. So I am really, really impressed with that. As you can see now, there's something on in the background there. The display is crisp and clear, and the keypad is well laid out as well. So I like the design of this one. I think it's really good. So anyway, as I was saying, if you're interested, I will leave some links in the description to the Retevis website, and hopefully you can also support me by clicking on those links too. I do get a tiny amount of money if anyone does click through and purchase anything from the store, so that is always appreciated as part of the support for the channel. And likewise, if you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like and consider subscribing. So until next time, I'll wish you semi-freeze, hopefully catch some of you guys on the band, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.